Well, Anna, welcome to Word War Debate. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Tell me, how are you feeling? How have you prepped for this debate?
I'm excited. Usually when I prep for debates, I like to watch my debate opponent and the way she debates. So I think learning about your opponent is more important than the topic at hand. I know how I feel about the topic at hand. I'm excited about it. Kind of wish I was debating foreign policy instead, but it's okay. It's totally fine. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got another event coming up in March. We should bring you back to do that
I'd
one,
love
right?
to.
I know, you're not afraid of that at all. Let's talk about, in this particular case, you said it's not so much prepping for the subject matter as it is for the opponent. How have you prepped for Pearl?
Well, Pearl has engaged in many debates. There was one debate that she had with Trent Horn on the topic of marriage. She thinks that marriage is a bad deal for men and that it's better for men to just shack up with women, which is a weird take for a conservative, but nonetheless, that was a fascinating debate. More than the content of the debate, you kind of learn and understand the various strategies and, for lack of a better word, tricks your debate opponent engages in. And that typically helps me with my debate performance.
In terms of tricks, I know you don't want to give away too much. What are some of the things you've seen her do that you're kind of keeping an eye out for?
Well, one thing that she does often actually is that she will throw out a statistic, and usually that statistic is dubious because it doesn't compare rates to men, right? So she'll make the argument that 1 in 4 women have an STD, but she, while stating that, is trying to make the point that women are worse than men, fails to mention what STD rates are among men, right? STD rates, unfortunately, are incredibly high among men and women, higher among men, but nonetheless, it's disastrous for both sexes. So she kind of misinterprets statistics and doesn't do comparative analysis. I don't know if she does that intentionally to be misleading or if she has difficulty with stats. Nonetheless, I'll be keeping an eye out for that.
Absolutely. In terms of things you've seen her say, what's the craziest thing that came off as crazy to you? Craziest thing you've heard Pearl say that you're like, oh, I can't believe she would say that in a debate?
2 things. Women don't want to get married, they just want to be whores. And that women should not have the right to vote.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll give you an insight. There was a comment that she had made during her interview, and she said, I think in reality, I'm actually more of a feminist than Anna is. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't call myself a feminist. I believe in equality among both sexes. I don't think that she would really identify as a feminist either because of the fact that most of her content focuses on trashing women of all stripes. We could even talk about a woman who is trying to better herself, someone who might have been engaged in, adult content and decided, you know what, this is not the right thing to do. I want to find Christ. They become religious, and she'll trash them as well. Her whole shtick is just trashing women. Doesn't matter how conservative they are, doesn't matter how liberal they are, she will trash them. I mean, a lot of her content goes after the traditional conservatives, right? Those who want to have a traditional life in the household. She mocks them constantly. For me, feminism, when it's not like perverted by all of these other weird externalities, is about giving people choice. If you want to be a career woman, that's great. You should have the opportunity. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, that's an incredibly difficult and admirable thing to do. You should have the ability to do that. That's what feminism is supposed to be. And with her, it doesn't matter what you choose. If you're a woman, she's going to trash you.
How do you feel about the audience? It's a different kind of a format in this debate. You have a live audience in front of you. You're going to have an online audience as well. Do you believe that you can shift people in this who are watching this and maybe educate them, open their minds, help them see the world in a different way than they did when they started watching?
It's the only reason why I would do something like this. I'm not going to convince Pearl. That's not my intention. My intention is to potentially persuade audience members who are either, wavering on this issue or think that they're solidly on Pearl's side on the issue. I'm hoping that I'll open their minds. And the most important thing is that we have these kinds of debates and these conversations. I think that this country in particular kind of went through a phase where people on both sides of the political aisle weren't talking to each other. I want to enhance communication and I want to engage in these debates. So I'm really grateful to be here.
Yeah, more speech is always better than less speech.
Exactly.
For sure. In terms of, again, though, people who are watching, what do you think is the likelihood, especially in our current culture, that people are swayed by debates? Do you think that that's almost a misnomer? Like people go in with a bias already and they say, I believe what I believe, no matter what. Or do you think that maybe with the rise of online debating, there are people who are more open to have their minds changed? Because we are seeing that certainly on the foreign policy stuff.
Right.
That is happening.
That's a perfect
there.
example.
Yeah.
I was actually going to give that example. I get people who write in almost on a daily basis, and they thank me because they feel that I've opened their minds up to a completely different perspective on U.S. foreign policy. So I do think that people can change their minds. It really depends on how you frame the conversation, and more importantly, how you treat people who disagree with you. You know, I used to have the mindset of being pretty rude, pretty cruel to people who I disagreed with. And that was ridiculous and accomplished absolutely nothing. When you understand the humanity of everyone, something I wish Pearl would do, you're able to communicate to them a lot more effectively, and on top of that, understand their perspective better.
What do you hope, in particular, what is one point you would want to drive home to people that you would hope they would come away with from this debate and from your point of view?
The best thing that's ever happened in my life is my marriage. And one of the things that Pearl advocates for is this nihilistic view that women and men should not get married, that men get a raw deal by marrying women, that they're all fat, that they're all whores, just ridiculous nihilistic nonsense. I want young people who might watch this debate to understand that if they're taking Pearl's advice, they are going to lead a life of unhappiness. They're going to deprive themselves of having a life partner who's going to enrich their lives. I just want them to understand that she is not giving them advice to better their lives. She's giving them advice because it's provocative, it gets clicks, and I think there's a pick-me component to all of this as well. You know, I don't want to be too cruel to her, but I just don't think that she's giving young people good advice. I want young people to consider marriage. I think it's a positive thing.